YouTube people, please, just a click, just a view, sir, just subscribe. Card content's dying. Can I please just get a little bit of engagement? Please? Just enough to get me through the weekend? That's all I need. Yes, the hot topic of the week. Sports card content is dying. From one Professor Sports Cards. I don't normally watch a lot of his stuff. Between the algorithm throwing it at me and everyone and their sister making a video about it, I figured, why not? I'll play the game and dive in. Carlos on the Because I'm Carlos podcast covered this extremely well, I thought, and there's a billion videos on this already, it feels like, in the last couple of days. Boy, where do we start with this one? Okay. The content, the idea behind the video from an engagement standpoint was smart from the professor. I do not agree with the take from the professor. I think he's using some very flawed logic, and general YouTube statistics kind of back my side of the story. So if you missed it, which I don't know how you could possibly miss it at this point, his premise was that YouTube sports card content is dying, especially for some of the larger channels. And we're going to look at a few of them. I did a little bit of digging, did a little bit of chat GPT-ing, and just my own personal, knowledge from creating YouTube content for 5 years. So his premise was, oh, look at these recent uploads. So I have my page up here. I'll pick on myself. And, oh, look, okay. 3,000 views, 2,500 views, 5K views, 6K views, 5K, 6K. Let's go back before the national stuff. 3.5, 3.3, 3.4, 1.3 with an interview, 5.3. That's, SGC's death. That was a whole different bag of cats. 3.7. So he looked at recent uploads for a bunch of channels and said, look at these view counts. And then went and looked at their most popular videos ever. Oh, look, my channel's dying. This video got 41,000 views. This one got 36,000 views, 35K, 26K, 17K. Look at these ones. They only get 3K. It's dead. It's all going to zero. You can't compare. I mean, you can compare whatever you want, but comparing recent uploads to the 10 best videos ever posted on a YouTube channel, especially one established for 4 to 5 years, to me personally, just doesn't make a lot of sense. If you want to use that to fit your narrative, that's fine, but I don't think sports card content is actually dying. You could say it's normalizing a little bit. You could say that the market is a little more saturated. Let's also not forget, when you're going back 3 to 4 years, you're talking about 2021. We were in the middle of a pandemic. Everyone was locked inside the house. There was no sports on TV and no one could go anywhere. Of course, views were way up in 2021. And really, and I can only use my own personal data for this because I don't have access to anyone else's YouTube analytics. You could get a rough idea poking around on some stuff. But generally speaking, my views have been basically about the same since 2021. I think in 2021, I had 1.5 million views. In 2022, I think I had 1.4, then 1.3, and then it went back up to 1.4 in 2024. And 2025 is on track for about 1.4 again. So it's essentially maintained flat. Now, obviously, number of uploads and things like that are going to vary to a degree. I've uploaded less videos this year because I've been taking Mondays off. I haven't been uploading on Saturday unless something super crazy is going on. So I'm uploading like 2 less videos per week. Probably like 1.5 because there were some weeks where I did upload, or you have multiple days where you upload 2 videos or whatever. But on average, I'm probably uploading like 1.5 less videos per week in 2025. And I'm on track for the same amount of views I had in 2024 rather, where I was uploading every single day. And that's basically dead even with where I was in 21 and 22. 21 was a little bit higher, but it should be a little bit higher. There was a global pandemic going on. Now, for those that don't realize, as a channel ages, and this is some of the stuff that Carlos talked about, the sub count continues to grow and you have dead subscribers. Just people that subscribed years ago that don't pay attention to YouTube at all anymore, don't watch sports card YouTube content anymore, whatever the case might be, think I'm an idiot and stopped watching me but never unsubscribed, because most people don't look at their subscription tab. They just look at the homepage and whatever the algo throws at them. So there's been people that have probably subscribed to the channel that if for whatever reason the YouTube algo is not throwing my videos on their homepage, they never click on the subscribe tab. Most people don't. I could show you the analytics. I know where the views come from. Very few of them actually come from the subscription page. They almost all come from recommended videos on the homepage. Like 60% of it comes from that, maybe even more. I don't remember the exact number, but it's extremely high. So you naturally have attrition, and I have a perfect example of this with a new channel versus an old channel. We'll get to that in a minute. As a channel ages, it becomes more skewed. Just because you have 20,000 subscribers like myself, just short, almost there, does not mean you just get 20,000 views on every single video. In fact, I did some poking around, and this is something that Rudy's always said, Alpha Investments, and I know Dustin talked about this in his video. You generally want about 10% of your subscriber count in viewership for an established channel. Now, Rudy's channel is 10 years old. So his is a lot older than like mine, Card Collector 2s, SCIs, Dustin's, etc. So he has even more dead weight, if you will, on the back end, more attrition. So just to make sure that Rudy was correct in that, and that is a general number I have heard from people that all they do is study YouTube nonsense, have heard before, is that you generally want to be around 10% of whatever your subtotal is for an established channel. So I checked, we went to the thing that never lies, ChatGPT, so take this for what it's worth, but this backs up with what you'll hear around the block. So this is what ChatGPT says for general benchmarks for an established channel. In the first 7 to 14 days, you want 5 to 15% of the subscriber count. And then over the first month, you want to be in the 10 to 20% range. Now, for our particular niche, a lot of that is front loaded. You'll generally get those views, at least I can only speak to myself personally because I only know my analytics super well. A bulk of those views are coming in the first 48 hours, typically, unless something catches a little bit. But generally speaking, by the end of a month, you want to be between 10 and 20% of your subscriber total, which checks out. Here's an example. It gave me a 20,000 sub channel as an example. I did not tell it that, but this lines up with me. Average upload in the first week, 1,000 to 3,000 views. Most of my videos, unless it's something that really tanks, ends up at a baseline of 3,000 views. Strong performer, 4,000 to 6,000 views. My national videos got closer to 6,000. My big news video, SGC, the whole Ryan Hogue interview, that got 6,000 plus. And then evergreen or viral video, 40,000 views lifetime. That checks out. When we went and looked at my highest performing videos of all time, they came in at around that 30 to 40,000 mark. My top 2 videos are just over 40,000 and just under 40,000. And then I have a bunch in the high 20s range. So the math on that checks out. So what I did was, let's look at 4 individual channels. We looked at SCI, Card Collector 2, Alpha Investments, and myself. I used Alpha Investments as kind of like the neutral channel, myself just to pick on myself, and then SCI and CC2 because they are the 2 largest in the entity. And I asked ChatGPT to analyze just video uploads for 2025 and how they were performing compared to where they should be. And it spit out these 4 little charts. So let's look at SCI first. Views per video. 17K to 138K. Now, Jeff had the widest range. You can see here, first month, it should be 10 to 20%. His are averaging 4% to 35%. It gave a big, long breakdown of why, like what content's performing better than others. We don't need to get into all that, but you could generally see the range 4% to 35% over the first month is within the realm of normalcy. 10 to 20%, he's within 4 to 35. Maybe some videos aren't performing quite as well, but some are drastically exceeding expectations. That doesn't look like a channel that's dying to me. That looks like a channel that's performing exactly how it should be. All right, let's look at Card Collector 2. Videos per initial upload, 16 to 33K. That throws him in the 8 to 17% range. Once again, 10 to 20% is typical. He's in the neck of the woods. It's not perfect. He's a little bit more consistent than Jeff, a little bit of a more narrow range. And he's also started, I know one thing that's probably affecting him a little bit on the lower end is he started his new podcast series, and those videos get way less views than his typical content. So it's probably dragging down the average a little bit because it's long form. He's posting a 1-hour podcast with an interview with someone random from the hobby versus his normal 15 to 20 minute show vlog, pickups, opening a box, whatever style video. It's drastically different. So it's probably throwing the algo for a loop. Those videos, you go look at his page, go look at his recent uploads. Those videos are not performing as well. And I'm not surprised by that. When I upload a long form interview, it generally performs under market compared to a normal video, unless it's something like the Ryan Hogue interview, or like when I had Nat Turner on. Something like that elevates way to the top. I interviewed Elizabeth Gruna from the pop culture side of PSA. I interviewed CGC a while back, Andy Broom and Matt Nelson. Interviewed Beckett people. Peter from SGC performed pretty decent, but Peter has some name recognition. So those styles videos just generally don't perform very well. So that's probably taking him down a little bit. I bet you if you factored those out, or if he just didn't do those cards and content videos, that would probably be closer to the 10% range. Regardless, that's pretty much where you want to be. Now, let's look at myself down here, Neo Cards and Comics. 2.5K, I'm sorry, 2K to 5K. 11% to 26%. Dead on. Right where I'm supposed to be according to general standards of practices of YouTube. Alpha Investments. Now, this one's interesting, but you have to factor something in. He's coming in at 5 to 11%, but he's been on YouTube for twice as long. He's been on YouTube, as he likes to tell you, for 10 years. So he has more of that attrition of dead subscriber base. So he is running a little bit lower, and this is putting, because the chat terms that I were using was for channels 4 to 5 years. So it's including this data for 4 to 5 years. It did say that longer term channels should be about the same, but you can see it skew lower because of the attrition of time on the channel. So Rudy's kind of the base. I mean, not everybody loves Rudy, but Rudy is one of the most popular content creators. It's not sports cards, but it's still a collectible space. Very entertaining. People love his videos. People watch his videos that don't even do anything with TCG. They just enjoy his content. He's coming in at 5 to 10%. Now, let's flip this around. As many of you know, I started a TCG channel this year. And here's the difference between a new channel. This channel's only been alive since the beginning of 2025. A new channel versus an established channel. Now, I had it look at like my last, I think, 25 uploads on that channel, which is a decent chunk of them because I only upload right now, maybe 5 videos a month on that channel. I'm doing like maybe 2 a week. Maybe it's like closer to 10 videos a month, but I'm not uploading a ton. I was early on to kind of get traction and get to 1,000 subs, but now I haven't been uploading quite as much. I've been doing, like I said, about 2 videos a week. But you can see the difference here. A newer channel that is getting traction and taking off has a lower sub count, and you drastically outperform the metrics. It's the opposite of Alpha Investments. And my main channel, which has been established for 5 years now, I think I have just under 1,300 subscribers on the TCG channel, Neo TCG. If you didn't know about it, I average between 600 and 6,000 views on videos. That's the range of the last 25 videos. Percentage of subs, 46% on the low end, 544% on the high end. So I am drastically outperforming expectations on this channel, which is typical of a smaller channel. Now keep this in mind, this channel is in the Pokemon niche, and it's playing into investing in sealed. I also am porting over somewhat of a built-in audience from the main channel. But the views in a lot of cases are drastically outperforming the subscriber size compared to the main, because it's a newer channel. It's still rising. It hasn't plateaued off yet. It's too new to have dead subscribers. So it just kind of shows you an example of the opposite ends of the spectrum. So this is a long way of basically me saying, though Professor had a hot take with sports card content is dying, I actually don't think that it is. If you understand how YouTube metrics work and how YouTube channels age, sure, everyone wants to perform better. And of course, a video that's sat on YouTube for 3 to 5 years is going to have way more views than a recent upload. And of course, if you look at a recent upload and compare it to their top 10 performing videos of all time, it's going to be drastically skewed. I could do that in anything. I could compare it'd be like comparing Thunderbolts, the recent Marvel release, to Avengers Infinity War. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing. It was a great hot take, but I don't think it was a good logical take. Is sports card content dying? No. Like I said at the top, I think it just normalized. It got to where it was supposed to be. When those channels came out and launched, of course they were getting way more views. It was the pandemic. The videos sat on YouTube for 3 to 5 years. They were a new channel. A lot of people were flowing in. A lot of people have left. A lot of people have come back in. It's the state of the hobby. It ebbs and flows. And I don't think, especially on the larger channels, some of the narrative has been, oh, they have camera crews, they have expenses, they have this, they have that. I don't know for sure, but I have to imagine for SCI and Card Collector 2, they are not making that much money off of AdSense. The money for them is not about the YouTube AdSense. That's like a bonus. That's a nothing. The money is from the sponsorships and from the marketing. The YouTube channels for people like that are a marketing piece for them. At least that's how I view it. I have no inside information on this. It's a different story for me. For them, it is marketing pieces it's an extension of their main business. In Ryan's case, it's a shop. In Jeff's case, it's an app and a shop. It's essentially creating their own advertising for their own businesses. They'd be stupid not to have YouTube channels. One, it gives them all the advertising in the world. And two, because they're very public figures in the space that they're in, it probably gets them better access than the average person. Take them out of it because Jeff and Ryan can be polarizing, but any shop, store, whatever that has and makes content is going to have an edge over a store that doesn't. If you have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube in the sports card space and you're a store or a business entity, guess what? Topps is more likely to pick up the phone or return an email from you than Joe down the street at your local card shop that doesn't even know what Instagram is. That's just the facts. So even if it's a loss leader for them, it still makes sense for them to do it. And that's not even accounting for whatever they're making off sponsorships. You do not make that much money off of YouTube AdSense. I've talked about it before. I average like in the low 100,000 views per month. Generally speaking, it comes out to, depending on the month, because it varies, 1,000 to $1,200 a month. Every once in a while, you'll get a spike month around Christmas. The ad rates are a little bit better. Maybe it gets up to $1,300, $1,400 a month. My channel has been extremely consistent throughout the entire year. Roughly speaking, I think I pull down about 12 to 15K in AdSense revenue a year, and it has been fairly consistent with that number all the way back to 2021. 2020, not so much, because I didn't start making content till the middle of 2020, and I didn't get monetized until September in 2020. But ever since then, it has been pretty much dead on the same. So I can only go, you only have super detailed access to your own metrics. And like I said, I know what my views have been over the last 5 years. They've been extremely consistent, within about 5% of each other. Sometimes dipping down, sometimes coming back up again. And like I said, there's a lot of variance in that depending on number of videos uploaded and things like that. So, long story short, I don't think YouTube content, sports card content, is dying. You could say it's more watered down. You could say it's more boring. There's more options out there. There's a billion different things you could say, but it's not actually dying, at least for these 3 channels, myself, CC2, and SCI. And I have to imagine if I punched in a bunch of other ones, it would probably be similar to this. They're basically performing pretty much where they should be. Were they performing better in the pandemic? Maybe, but that would make sense given the situation we were all in. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. Maybe this is boring for some people. Maybe this is exciting for some people. I don't know. But this is just my take on this, the topic of the week. Shall we? The Nationals over. We've all moved on to the next thing. And apparently this is the thing. I get it. People want the narrative of tearing down whoever's super popular in the content space, especially Jeff and Ryan, because they're super polarizing. And he went through way more channels than just those 2. I think he ran through like 5 or 10 of them. But the logic of just comparing a recent upload to a video to your 10 most popular videos, in my opinion, is just flawed. And it just does not understand how a YouTube channel ages and generally performs. Now, channels could take off. You could catch a little fire. Maybe you get in a little bit of groove. It looks like, based off his views recently, he's kind of switched up his styles and his videos have kind of taken off. That can happen. That can absolutely happen. But that's not necessarily typical. Sometimes you get in a little bit of a hot streak. Like I said, you switch up the content, you switch up the style of content, and you gain traction, hit that algo, and then you run for a little bit. It ebbs and flows. It really does. Right now, everyone's running a little hot because of the National. It'll normalize again. That's all I got. If anyone ever has questions about YouTube nonsense, I am by no means the czar of YouTube, but I've ran a YouTube channel for 5 years now. I have a second YouTube channel. I have some general passing knowledge of this stuff. So always feel free to reach out, especially if you're just starting out or you're thinking about starting out. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Catch your boys and girls on the next one. Peace.